Greetings, mycelium fungoid trippers and the sneakiest of snufflers. You're out there somewhere. My name is Lucius, and on today's episode we have a treat for you today. What we'll be going through is the new releases and the old releases from a company from Ukraine called Greenskin Miniatures, which is led by Anton Zvarev. Now I've been talking to Anton a little bit, and he's been kind enough to send me through the July releases, but plus also the previous releases of his Goblin range for Warmaster, or 10mm fantasy, if you'd like to say it that way. So the company itself, Anton is a professional 3D artist that decided to go and do a Goblin range after getting into Warmaster. He runs a Patreon for his work, and I'll post links below if you are interested in that and in becoming involved in it as well, which I strongly recommend for this awesome range. After the Goblin Force is completed, he hopes to move on and to complete an Orc range for a Warmaster, which goes hand in hand with the Goblins. You'll be able to use some of these Goblins in the Orc range as well, as most of you would know who play Warmaster. So currently this range is available through Gumroad, where you can purchase the units individually. As I already stated, you can get the monthly subscription to Patreon, and the new models here for the July release are in front of you as we speak, and we'll be going through those individually through this video. So if you'd like to stay tuned, what we'll be doing is we'll be going through this full range of what is currently available from Greenskin Miniatures, and we'll be looking at each of the individual models, and I'll be going through, like I normally do, I'll be touching on some different aspects of printing, because I did encounter a lot of things with these particular miniatures, and I will go through some troubleshooting there that I've seen and I've experienced, so that you can, learn from me and learn from my own mistakes, and they really were my own mistakes, as is usually the case with resin printing and 3D. But for now, let's get started. Now, before we get started here, if you'd like to become a subscriber of this channel, we would greatly appreciate it. It takes you a second to do, means heaps to us. But for now, let's have a look at the first model that was released by Greenskin Miniatures, and it was this one. It was the Goblin Warboss. So you can see here he's got his own big squig. Now, you will notice with this range it is night goblins, so he's going for the night goblin look and aesthetic, and I think it looks very good. So this one here is the original Warboss that was created, and you can see here even on the base you can see like different weapons and different bits and pieces. It's got a banner in the background. As I said, a big ass squig and a cool looking Warboss. This one is actually available for free for download for Gumroad. So if you are looking for this model, I did notice that it's listed at $0. So if you are just looking to get its Goblin Warboss, check out some of this range, then it might be a good way to start. And if you like this, you might want to move on from there. Okay, so we have the hero ranges from this line, and we have our Goblin Shaman over on the left, and then we have our Goblin Hero in the middle, and then we have a Night Goblin specific hero on the end. Now, these are quite cool models, and as you see, they come pre-based. Lots of fungus and stuff on the Shaman. You've got weapons and rocks and stuff on the others, so really looks cool. And I mean, obviously we've got goblins here, so it is 10mm scale, but these things are probably more in line with like 5 to 6mm, so they're more like an epic Armageddon force, and because it is in scale, obviously, with what we're looking at, which is really cool. Okay, next up we have the Goblin Fanatics. So these guys are your normal ball and chain loonies. I'm not sure if these rules are ever released for Warmaster for Fanatics, but yeah, let us know. I could be wrong. Now our main troops here, which are compulsory troops, are our Night Goblin Infantry. And these look quite cool. There's quite a lot of different variations. You can see guys with nets, guys with squigs. We've got a command variant here, and we have a normal variant too. So on the actual files, this comes in, you get 6 preset strips, or you get the solo individual models and then unbased as well. So you've got a lot of, with the files that you purchase, you get quite a lot of different variation of what you could achieve there, and you could actually make your own strips if you wanted to, but 6 strips are provided, as I said, and one is a command strip, and then 4 normal Goblin line strips, and then like a sort of like a hero-y kind of strip as well, with a bigger sort of dude on it. So these are the Night Goblins themselves. Alright, probably some of my favourite models from this line, and you can see why they look just totally insane, is the Squig Herd. So with the Squig Herd, you've got some handlers over here. So you've got one strip of handlers, and you've got like guys with cymbals and pitchforks and stuff, and then you've got 6 strips of these squigs themselves, which look really cool en masse. Like if you would have looked at the before there where I showed it, they just look like a big swarm of them, which is what they're meant to look like, I guess. So really flavorful, colourful miniatures, and like with the infantry, you can pretty much print these solo, like each of these models. They come based, unbased, on strips. But as I said before, you've got 6 strips that are preset if you were just looking for that. There are also some giant squigs as well, which come with this range. Now, what Goblin force would be complete without the mighty Wolf Riders? And these guys, there's quite a lot of variations. You have a number of different Wolf Riders to choose from. You've got musicians, you've got standard bearers, you've got some with ornate banners, some just blank that you can fill in yourself. Some of them are armed with bows, some of them with swords and spears. Lots of different variations, and these particular models, I think the wolves come up really good, and they're probably one of the better sculpts on this range. I really like them. So there are our Wolf Riders. Okay, so here we have the Goblin Wolf Rider chariots, and these things are quite spectacular, really. And you can see the wolves there, lots of detail in them. You've got the riders on the chariots, look great. You've got a little guy down here on the front of this one who is riding in between the wolves. Just really interesting, exciting models. I think they'll come up really well painted. And definitely an auto include for your force. Okay, so we've got the Goblin Spear Chuckers, which is our artillery option. Now, there's quite a lot of variation in these models. You've got 3 different spear chuckers. You've got a bunch of different crew models. Here's just 2 of the ones that I chose out, and you've got a whole bunch of little extras. So like this flaming cauldron down here. There's also like little squigs holding arrows and all sorts of stuff. So these, I think, for the price, I think would be really a good addition to your Goblin force, because let's face it, they need a bit of punch. Trolls, 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 me boys. Now these miniatures are really cool. I love these troll models. You get 3 individual unique sort of strips for this one. You can get all these models individually, so you could mix and match and make your own different types of strips. But the sculpts are great. Like, they look really good. And I think these are going to be a hit. I mean, obviously, with the Goblin army, you lack a little bit of that offensive punch, and these things can actually give it to you. That's if they don't go really stupid on you. Now, these giant models are really cool. Really awesome. They're simple, but they really capture the essence. I like it. Like this guy's got swords jammed through his club. This guy's got like a gravestone jammed through his club to make it into an axe, which is really cool. He's got cages. He's swinging bits of a building. Just really cool miniatures all around. Hey, really love these giants. I'll definitely be including them in my force. Now, I enlarged one of the giant squig models, and what I've decided to do with it is turn it into a giant. I can't see why not. This one's awesome. It's spewing out little baby squigs, which is cool. It's got chains all around it. It's bound. There's a few of these enormous squigs models in this range, and this one I've actually just enlarged because I just want to make it as a giant option, which I don't think anyone's going to really complain about. It's just a mega squig. And speak about squigs, here's the ones from the enormous squig range. You got some little handlers at the back there. I don't know where you add these. I suppose you could add them to your battle line of your normal squigs. As I said to you before, I did get one of these and turn it into this jumbo squig to turn into a giant. But I've got these ones as well, and they look quite cool. There's this one here with the Goblin riding him is pretty unique. That's pretty awesome. He's got a little monocle. Looks good. Alright, so what I thought I'd do now is just give you a bit of a comparison of some of the other models that I've printed recently, and you would have seen the videos to those. So just to show you the scale of the Goblins, so you can see the Goblins down here from Greenskin Miniatures. As a size comparison, we have the Forest Dragon War Dancers for the Wood Elf range, and we have the Maceface Miniatures Marauding Bondsmen, just as a bit of a scale. So you've got humans, elves, and then goblins, and you can see there that the scale is pretty good, really. You know, they're definitely smaller than normal miniatures on this range, and that goes with the Goblin aesthetic. So currently, if you were looking to buy these individually through Gumroad, the prices are up there at the moment. The War Boss, as I said, is currently a free download, which is very generous. The Night Goblin Infantry with all of its variations over here is $8 for all of those. This is US dollars. The Wolf Riders are $10. The Night Goblin Fanatics are $3. The Wolf Chariots are $8. You've got those three over there. The Squig Herds are $10. There's quite a lot of variants in those. The Goblin Heroes is $3. Those guys up there. The Giants are $8. And then the Goblin Shaman, which is this little dude here, $3 as well. So that just gives you a bit of an idea of what you'd be paying for these. If you're not part of the Patreon, that is, which is a totally different, it's a monthly subscription, but you can check that out in the link below. Now, I just wanted to, as a disclaimer, as I normally do, these were printed with my Frozen Sonic Mini 4K, as per usual, as I've been using lately, and it's a great machine for these small-scale models. I encountered a lot of problems with printing. Now, it wasn't to do with the miniatures, and I know that because I've since rectified the problems that I was having at the time. And I thought I'd go through these now just so you can get a bit of an idea if something similar was happening to your machine. Maybe, you know, it might give you an idea to help fix it, because I could have used the advice at the start, honestly. Now, it's been printing pretty flawlessly up until now, and I did notice that some of the models started to like only half print and stuff like that. And there's usually a few reasons for that. I was originally thought it was the temperature of the room, and I have been. It is winter here at the moment, and I have been having the heater on and keeping the room to a certain temperature, and I even warm up the build plate on the heater before I do it, because I was getting some failures because of that. But what I did notice is after that, I still kept doing that, and it still kept, a few of these models still kept printing that way, like half of it wouldn't print, or a leg wouldn't print or something like that. And then I went to the next thing which I thought of, which was it could be dirty resin. It could be like just slightly cured little flecks within the resin which can stop that from happening. So I did switch. I switched to another resin, like another bottle of resin, and I also did another Z access, which it can be as well also. So I did all those things, and it did improve it by another 40-50%, like everything was getting a lot better. It still had a few errors, and then finally I noticed that I had a slight leak in the bottom of my vat itself. So like in one of the, where the plastic joins to the metal body, there's a slight leak in there somewhere. I'm going to have to find that and try and use some sort of plastic glue or something to very carefully, without getting it on the actual film itself, try and seal that up, because there was a little bit of resin leak onto my actual screen, and I think that's what's going on, because it was just a certain section of the build plate. So obviously it's not really affecting the model at the beginning when I'm printing, but what happens is by the time I get halfway through some of these little droplets of resin have got onto the actual screen itself, and that's stopped it from functioning properly, and then it stops printing that other bit. Then I'm only talking like tiny amounts here, I'm not talking huge amounts, but it's obviously enough to affect my printer. So just they're the only problems that I encountered. I did with the Giants, I did put them at a 30-degree angle and did them that way, and they printed really well. Anything else I had a problem with, I just put more supports on. Some of the trolls, I did beef up the supports on, and they printed pretty good with no real dramas. But I just thought I'd go through that with you now, and there's just some causes and some possible solutions. So 3D printing, as you guys know, if you're into it, it's really a process of elimination, and it's usually your fault. It's not normally what you're printing, unless it's very poorly supported or anything, and these models weren't. They did come pre-supported, and I did use the pre-supported files, and they seemed to work fine. It was just those little hiccups that I had, and it was definitely me, and it was definitely the machine. So I've fixed that now. I've just got to locate where this little leak is in my vat, and then I should be sweet. But by the end of it, after fixing all those things, I was getting like a 95% print accuracy, so that's not too bad at the end of the day. So this is the start of my Goblin Force from Greenskin Miniatures. I'm very, very thankful for them there for sending me these samples, letting me print them out and do this review for you guys. I hope you found it really useful. These models are really well sculpted. You can tell that a professional's done them. They're very nice, very cool detail, and have a look at those squigs. They just look really, humorous and funny like they're meant to be. Heads with big mouths. But yeah, it's a very colourful range, and I think it'll paint up really nice. I'm already sort of thinking about some colour schemes and that I'd like to do with this range. So please check out these guys, Greenskin Miniatures. I'm going to provide the links below. Support them, Patreon or Gumroad if you just want to buy a few of these individual models or do it that way without having to subscribe. That might be like how you want to do it, but that's totally up to you. But for now, my name is Lucius. This is War HQ, and we thank you very much for tuning in and watching.